When Saul and all of Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. You see, our giants want to make us afraid. Our giants want to stand before us in such a place that they tower over us with all the beauty of their armor and dismay us. You see, the stakes are high in this battle. It's either good defeats evil or evil defeats good. But whoever wins the battle, the other has to serve the other. And that's how it works, man. When you walk with the power of righteousness and you walk into a room, the demons have to flee. When you submit your life onto the mighty King Yahweh, guess what? You're full. Nothing can fill you but Him. It's the other way around too. If you submit in the battle and you lose the battle to evil, it will fill you until the King comes in and cleans house. Because in our camp raises up a mighty warrior, a mighty shepherd that comes and slays the giant. You'll see that develop in the story here in a moment. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself for 40 days. As Goliath is testing Israel and causing them to be in dismay, Israel does not know that their victory is coming, because out of their camp will raise a mighty warrior that will slay the giant. And the men of Israel said, "Have ye seen the man that come up? Surely by Israel he has come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, and the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel." See that? David's so confident as he walks in the fight, he says, "What's in it for me?" Now, are you getting ready to go into your battle with the knowledge knowing that you're going to be victorious? See, David was. Because David knew his testimony. David knew his trajectory. David knew where he came from. Therefore, he knew where he was going. And when he said to the king, "I will slay this giant, what's in it for me?" he was promised to be enriched in Israel. He was promised to be given the king's daughter. And he was promised to see tax abatement for his family. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David, that's his own brother. And he said, "Why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness?" He says, "Your job is minuscule. Your job is nothing. You take a few sheep. You think you come down to the battle? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart. For thou art come down that thou might seest the battle." Look at that accusation. David came down to defeat the Philistine. David came down to deliver the army of Israel and the nation of Israel into victory by killing the Philistine, and his brothers, his own flesh and blood, does nothing but mock him and accuse him of having pride and ill intentions in his heart. Don't let anybody take you off your path. Don't let anybody push you off of the road, the path that you're supposed to be on, because you're ready to slay a giant. You're ready to move forward. You have a heavenly mandate. You have an assignment. You have a purpose, and somebody in your camp is going to rise up and tell you, put that nonsense away. Don't listen to them. Don't listen. If people love you and they care about you and respect you, they will recognize your assignment and your purpose, and they will come alongside of you and support you in it. You have to be very careful who you allow to be around you. Not everybody is qualified to be around you, you see. You have a special calling on your life. Therefore, you better honor that calling and be very careful who you let around you. Not everybody's qualified to be in your presence. And David said to Saul, "Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine." And Saul said to David, "Thou art not able to go against the Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth." And David said unto Saul, "Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took the lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him." He said, "O king, I am qualified. My trajectory has prepared me for this moment in time." And don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not on the right path. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not on the trajectory unless you know that they have your best intentions at heart. Because here he is speaking to the king who had divine right, who was supposed to have wisdom and discernment and knowledge higher than anybody else, tells this young boy, David, "You can't have this fight." Be very careful whom you let speak into your life. Not every word is qualified to speak with knowledge on your progression, on your trajectory, on your path. Now, if David didn't go to this fight, where would Israel be today? "And I went out after him and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him and slew him. The servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them. You know, hey, check this out. God brings you places so that he could send you places. God brought David on a path where he slew the lion and the bear so that he could slay the giant. And then later, David would become the king of all of Israel. Your path matters. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Take a moment. If you want to see where it is that you're going, you just need to look at where it is that you've come from. God has brought you places so that he may send you places. David said, moreover, the Lord had delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, and he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go unto the Lord, be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put on a helmet of brass upon his head, and he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, as he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. David put them off. He said, O king, I'm not going with your armor. They're not for me. It's not part of my trajectory. It's not part of my plan. I will go in a different way. I thank God that he gives us these stories. He gives us these words. He gives us these historical accounts so that as we move forth in life, in victory, we know that we have a testimony that we can rest on. We know that we have a testimony that is true and that we can believe. And we know that these stories match up to our very own lives, because we all have giants to slay. We all have battles to fight. We all have challenges that are ever present before us. But we must stand and know that the weapons of our warfare are not the sword. They are not the shield, but they are a relationship with the assigner, the great, the almighty, Yahweh Sehavot. And his son, Yeshua, the Hamashiach, Jesus, the Christ, Jesus, the Nazarene, who rose from the dead and who is coming again to judge the quick, the dead. And his word and his kingdom and his government will have no end. If you believe these words today, just all you have to do is let your heart be persuaded, and you grab hold of those words, and I promise you, your life will never be the same. And you will look at your days of spending time in the sheepfold with those what you thought were meaningless sheep, and those battles that you had with the bear and the lion, and you will know that you have been prepared for a trajectory to destroy giants. You are a giant slayer. You are a giant slayer. And there's a brook, and there's 5 smooth stones, and there's a shepherd's bag, and there's a battle waiting for you. It's time to walk according to your purpose. It's time to put away childish things, and it's time to walk into your assignment. If you think it's going to get easier, you're sadly mistaken. We are on a trajectory towards trouble. We are on a trajectory towards 40 days of testing. And I use 40 days as a metaphor, but we just read about the 40 days of testing and refinement that the battle between the Philistines and Israel took. And David comes down on that 40th day and slays that giant. When your testing is done, then you will slay that giant. It's time to appreciate where you've come from, and even more so, to have a vision towards where you are going. The word of the Lord.